She was a pregnant black waitress, humiliated in public by a powerful Korean mafia boss's mother, until the next day. She walked in holding the Korean mafia boss's hand. The teacup hit the saucer with a sharp crack that made every server in the private dining room flinch, except Jenny Washington. She'd been a waitress at the Chrysanthemum Palace long enough to know that sound, the particular percussion of old money expressing displeasure. What she hadn't expected was for the elegant Korean woman in the Chanel suit to look directly at her 6-month pregnant belly and say, in perfect English, laced with contempt, "Tell me, girl, who is the father? Or do you even know?" The room went silent. Jenny felt heat flood her face, her hand moving instinctively to cradle the swell of her stomach. Around her, the other servers, all Korean, all perfectly trained, stared at the floor. The woman, Mrs. Jung Ae-cha, matriarch of the Jung family and one of the restaurant's most important regular customers, smiled with all the warmth of a blade. "No answer? How typical. Girls like you trap men with pregnancies, then act shocked when no one wants to claim the bastard." Jenny's throat closed. She wanted to scream that her baby wasn't a bastard, that the father had died 3 months ago in a construction accident, that she'd loved him with everything she had. But her manager, Mr. Pak, was already beside her, his hand on her elbow steering her away with frantic apologies to Mrs. Jung. "So sorry, madam. She's new. Won't happen again. Please let me bring you fresh tea." "See that it doesn't." Mrs. Jung's voice followed Jenny out of the room like poison. "The sight of unwed pregnant women ruins my digestion. Next time, keep your shame hidden in the kitchen where it belongs." In the kitchen, Jenny leaned against the industrial sink, fighting tears. The other servers avoided her eyes as they passed. She'd worked here for 8 months, saving every dollar for the baby, and now she'd probably be fired for existing wrong in front of Mrs. Jung. Her phone buzzed, another medical bill she couldn't pay. Jamal's insurance had lapsed 2 weeks before the accident. Everything had lapsed with him: love, security, the future they'd planned. "You okay?" It was Soup, the line cook, the only other black employee. He pressed a cold bottle of water into her hands. "Yeah." Jenny's voice cracked. "Just another day in paradise. That old dragon been coming here 20 years, treating staff like dirt. Her son's supposed to take over the family business, but word is he's even worse. Ice cold. Ruthless." Soup shook his head. "Rich people, man. They think they own the world." Jenny drank the water, trying to calm the flutter of movement in her belly. Her daughter, she was having a girl, kicked against her ribs as if in protest. "I know, baby," she thought. "I know this isn't fair. But we're going to survive. We always do." She lasted another 3 hours before Mr. Pak called her into his office. "Jenny, you're a good worker, but Mrs. Jung, she's very important client, very important family. She called, said, seeing you makes her uncomfortable. I'm sorry, I have to let you go." The words hit like physical blows. "Mr. Pak, please, I need this job. I have bills, the baby. I give you 2 weeks severance, best I can do." He couldn't meet her eyes. "I'm sorry, really, but Jung family, they're not people you say no to." Jenny left through the back exit, her apron folded in her bag, her pride in tatters. The November air was cold, threatening rain. She had $847 in her bank account, rent due in 2 weeks, and a daughter arriving in 3 months. As she walked to the bus stop, she passed a sleek black Mercedes with tinted windows. She didn't see the man inside watching her with dark, unreadable eyes. Young Hwan Sik sat in the back of his car outside the Chrysanthemum Palace and watched the pregnant woman, the one his mother had just humiliated, walk away with her head high despite obvious tears. Something about the set of her shoulders, the protective way she cradled her belly, made him feel an unfamiliar emotion. Guilt, perhaps, or shame at being related to the woman who'd just destroyed a stranger's livelihood for sport. "Sir?" His driver, Dong Min, glanced in the rearview mirror. "Your mother is waiting inside." Hwan Sik knew. He'd been sitting here for 20 minutes, dreading this meeting. At 28, he'd taken over as head of the Jung family operations 6 months ago when his father had a stroke. Operations that looked legitimate on paper, restaurants, real estate, import businesses, but were funded by money laundering, protection rackets, and ties to organized crime that went back 3 generations. He'd been trying to transition everything to legitimacy, but his mother fought him at every turn. She wanted to maintain the old ways, the old power structures, the old cruelties, including, apparently, destroying pregnant waitresses for the crime of being visible. Tell her I'll be there in 5 minutes. Hwansik pulled up the restaurant's employee records on his tablet, a habit from his years managing the family's legitimate fronts. Jenny Washington, 26. Bachelor's degree in hospitality from Cal State Long Beach. Previously worked at 3 other restaurants, all with excellent performance reviews. Emergency contact, none listed. His jaw tightened. No emergency contact, no family listed, and now no job, because his mother had decided to exercise her power like a weapon. He made a note in his phone, then finally went inside to face her. His mother sat in the private dining room like a queen holding court. Tea service spread before her, the late afternoon sun making her diamond rings sparkle. She was 62 but looked 50, maintained by the best plastic surgeons money could buy. Beautiful and cold as winter. You're late. She didn't look up as he sat across from her. I was handling business. Hwansik accepted tea from a nervous server. What did you need to discuss that couldn't wait? Your marriage. She finally met his eyes. The Park family has a daughter, educated in Switzerland, speaks 4 languages, comes from an excellent bloodline. I've arranged for you to meet her next week. Not this again. Mother, I've told you. You'll be 29 soon. You need a wife, an appropriate wife from our world, who understands our responsibilities. Her voice could have cut glass. Not like that pregnant trash I had to remove from my sight today. Hwansik's hand tightened on his teacup. You had a woman fired for being pregnant? I had unsuitable staff removed from my presence. There's a difference. She sipped her tea delicately. Girls like that, they make poor choices, then expect the world to accommodate their mistakes. Someone needs to teach them consequences. She lost her job because you found her pregnancy offensive. Hwansik kept his voice level with effort. That's not consequences, that's cruelty. Don't be soft. Your father would have done the same. She set down her cup with finality. Now about the Park girl. No, Hwansik stood. I'll marry when and who I choose. And mother? That woman you had fired? I want her personnel file, and I want to know exactly what you said to her. Something dangerous flickered across his mother's face. Why would you possibly care about some pregnant? Because unlike you, I don't enjoy destroying people for entertainment. He turned toward the door. I'll review the file tonight. And mother, in the future, you don't fire staff without consulting me first. This restaurant is part of my operations now. That means my rules. He left before she could respond, but he felt her fury following him like heat. His mother had controlled the family's social operations for 30 years. She wouldn't surrender that power easily, but Hwansik was done letting her cruelty define his family's legacy. That night, he sat in his penthouse office and read Jenny Washington's full file. 26, raised in foster care in Oakland, put herself through college while working multiple jobs, engaged to Jamal Davis, construction worker, who died in a workplace accident 3 months ago. No life insurance, no family support, just a baby on the way and determination written into every line of her employment history. Hwansik stared at her employee photo. She was beautiful, warm brown skin, natural hair pulled back in a neat bun, eyes that held both softness and steel. In the photo, she was smiling, but he remembered the way she'd looked leaving the restaurant earlier. Broken, defeated, because his mother had decided her existence was offensive. He made a decision that would have shocked his mother. Then he picked up his phone and called his secretary. Yoonji, I need you to locate someone. Jenny Washington, last known address from the Chrysanthemum Palace employee records, and set up a meeting. Tomorrow morning. Private. Sir, may I ask? No, just find her. Jenny woke to pounding on her apartment door. She rolled out of bed, 6 months of pregnancy making the movement graceless, and checked her phone. 7:30 a.m. Who the hell? Through the peephole, she saw a young Korean woman in a business suit, looking polite but determined. Jenny cracked the door open, keeping the chain on. Can I help you? Miss Washington, I'm Choi Yoon-ji, assistant to Young Hwan-sik. He'd like to meet with you this morning. If you're available, I have a car waiting. Young, the name hit like ice water. Is this a joke? Your boss's mother got me fired yesterday. Now he wants to meet with me? Tell him to go to hell. Yoonji's expression didn't change. Mr. Jung anticipated your response. He asked me to tell you this is about employment, not his mother, and that he hopes you'll hear him out. Please, Miss Washington. He's waiting at the Harbor Cafe. It's public, safe, just 1 hour of your time. Jenny should have slammed the door, but she had $847 and no job. And curiosity, that dangerous thing, was whispering that maybe this was worth investigating. Give me 20 minutes. The Harbor Cafe was a small, bright space overlooking the marina. Through the window, Jenny saw him immediately. Young Hwan Sik, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups of coffee already waiting. He was younger than she expected, late 20s, devastatingly handsome in a charcoal suit, with sharp features and an intensity that made her pulse quicken, even through her wariness. He stood as she entered, a gesture of respect that surprised her. Miss Washington, thank you for coming. Please sit. Jenny remained standing. Your assistant said this was about employment. I'm listening, but I'm not sitting. I've learned not to get comfortable around people with your last name. A flicker of something, pain, shame, crossed his face. That's fair. My mother was inexcusably cruel to you yesterday. What she said, what she did, there's no justification. I'm here to apologize and to offer you a position. If you're willing to hear me out. Your mother insults me, gets me fired, and now you want to give me a job? Jenny crossed her arms over her belly. What's the catch? This some kind of guilt thing? Charity? No. Hwan Sik met her eyes directly. I'm opening a hospitality training program. We acquire struggling restaurants, turn them around, then sell them to the employees as worker-owned cooperatives. I need someone to run the front-of-house training. Your resume shows you've worked every position from hostess to manager. You have a degree in hospitality, and your references all say you're exceptional with both staff and difficult customers. Jenny stared at him. You read my personnel file. I read all my employees' files. And Miss Washington, I know about Jamal. I'm sorry for your loss. The mention of Jamal's name, spoken with genuine sympathy, nearly broke her composure. She sat down abruptly, hand pressed to her belly where their daughter kicked. Why? Her voice came out rough. Why would you help me? You don't know me. Because my mother was wrong. Because you lost your job unfairly. And because, he paused, choosing words carefully, because I'm trying to build something different than what my family has been. Something that helps people instead of destroying them. This program is part of that. I think you'd be perfect for it. What's the salary? $75,000 to start. Full benefits, including health insurance and maternity leave. You'd be developing curriculum, training managers, overseeing quality standards across multiple locations. He slid a folder across the table. Full job description and contract. Take it home, review it, have a lawyer look at it if you want. No pressure. Jenny opened the folder with shaking hands. The salary alone would change her life. Pay off Jamal's medical bills. Set up a nursery. Give her daughter everything she'd never had growing up in foster care. This is real, not some elaborate prank. It's real, but Miss Washington, Jenny, if I may, I need you to understand something. Hwan Sik leaned forward slightly. My mother will hate this. She'll see it as a direct insult. She has significant influence in the Korean community, and she won't hesitate to make things difficult for you. This job comes with complications beyond the work itself. Why would she care what job I take? Because I'm offering it to you specifically because of what she did. Because it's me saying her cruelty doesn't get the final word. His eyes held hers. I won't lie to you. Taking this position means putting yourself in the middle of a family conflict. If that's not something you're willing to deal with, I understand. But the offer is genuine, and I promise you'll be protected. Jenny looked at the contract, then at this man who'd somehow found her, apologized for something he didn't do, and offered her a lifeline when she was drowning. It should have felt suspicious. Instead, it felt like the first piece of good luck she'd had in months. I need to think about it. 24 hours. Of course. Hwan Sik stood as she did. My card is in the folder. Call anytime. And Jenny, whatever you decide, thank you for hearing me out. As Jenny left the cafe, she felt Hwan Sik's eyes on her, turned back to see him still standing there, watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Something between respect and fascination. She touched her belly, feeling her daughter's reassuring movement, and made a decision. 24 hours later, Jenny called and accepted the position. 1 week after that, she started work at the Jung Hospitality Group's headquarters, a sleek building in downtown LA that made her previous workplaces look like shacks. Her office was on the 3rd floor with a view of the city. Her desk had a new computer, ergonomic chair for her pregnancy, and a welcome basket with gourmet snacks. Holy shit, her friend Keiko whispered during the office tour. Keiko had been a server at the Chrysanthemum Palace too, one of the few who'd actually tried to defend Jenny. This is insane. You went from getting fired to this in like a week? I know, it doesn't feel real. Jenny ran her hand over the desk. Kay, what if this is a mistake? What if his mother? Screw his mother. You earned this. Your resume is stacked. He'd be lucky to have you. Keiko squeezed her hand. Besides, have you seen your new boss? Girl, if I had to be in the middle of a family drama, that's the family I'd choose. Jenny had seen him. Hwansik had been nothing but professional, cordial, respectful, keeping appropriate distance. But she'd caught him watching her sometimes with an intensity that made her skin prickle with awareness. Not creepy, not inappropriate, just interested, like she was a puzzle he was trying to solve. She threw herself into work, grateful for the distraction from grief and pregnancy anxiety. The program was ambitious. They'd identified 5 struggling restaurants, all in underserved communities. The plan was to stabilize operations, train the existing staff to management levels, then transition ownership to them as cooperatives. It was innovative and compassionate and everything Jenny had ever wanted to be part of. Hwansik was there for all of it, working alongside her, asking her opinion, implementing her suggestions. He was brilliant, strategic and detail-oriented, but also surprisingly empathetic. He remembered every employee's name, asked about their families, created systems that prioritized worker well-being over profit margins. You're not what I expected, Jenny admitted one evening as they worked late, reviewing training materials. Everyone else had gone home. It was just them in the conference room, Chinese takeout between them, the city glittering below. What did you expect? Hwansik looked up from his laptop. I don't know. Ice-cold businessman. Son of the woman who destroyed me for sport. Someone who saw people as resources. Jenny picked at her kung pao chicken. But you're not like that. You care about the workers, the communities. Why? Hwansik was quiet for a long moment. My father built this empire on the backs of people he exploited. My mother maintained it through fear and cruelty. And I watched it destroy lives, including my own brothers. He killed himself 5 years ago because he couldn't handle the pressure, the violence, the constant compromises. His voice was flat, controlled. I decided then that if I ever took over, I'd do things differently. Actually help people instead of just using them. I'm sorry about your brother. Thank you. He met her eyes. And Jenny, you should know. My mother's been asking questions about you, about why I hired you. She's not happy. Should I be worried? No, I won't let her touch you. The certainty in his voice sent shivers down Jenny's spine. You're under my protection now. That means something in my world. Your world? Jenny put down her chopsticks. Your assistant mentioned something about the Jung family operations. The way she said it, Hwansik, what exactly is your family business? He could have lied, should have maintained the fiction. Instead, he said quietly, money laundering, protection rackets, ties to Korean organized crime going back 3 generations. On paper, we're legitimate. Underneath, he gestured vaguely, we're exactly what you're imagining. Jenny should have been terrified. Instead, she found herself asking, and you? Are you exactly what I'm imagining? I'm trying not to be, but I'm still my father's son. Still make decisions that keep the peace, protect the family, maintain the power structure. I'm transitioning us toward legitimacy, but it's slow, dangerous. There are people, including my mother, who don't want change. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve the truth about who you're working for. And because, he stopped, jaw tightening. Because I like you, Jenny, more than I should, more than is appropriate. And I need you to know what that means before this goes any further. The air between them suddenly felt charged. Jenny's heart pounded against her ribs. This? There's no this. You're my boss. I'm pregnant with another man's baby. There can't be a this. I know. Hwansik stood abruptly, pacing to the window. I know all of that. But Jenny, you walk into a room and I can't focus on anything else. You laugh and I want to know what made you happy. You touch your belly and I want to protect both of you from everything in the world that could hurt you. It's insane. It's inappropriate. But it's true. Jenny stood too, her hand pressed to where her daughter was kicking frantically, as if sensing her mother's racing pulse. Hwansik, I can't. I'm still mourning Jamal. I'm about to be a single mother. I don't have room in my life for complications. I know, and I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know. He turned to face her, eyes dark with emotion. That whatever my mother does, whatever complications arise, you're not alone. I'm here for as long as you need me. They stood there, the confession hanging between them, neither knowing how to move forward. Then Jenny's phone rang. The hospital, her OB's emergency line. Her blood pressure had been high at her last appointment. She answered with shaking hands. 5 minutes later, Juansik was driving her to the hospital, his face grim with determination. You're going to be fine. The baby's going to be fine. I promise. You can't promise that. Watch me. Preeclampsia. Early stage. Manageable, but concerning at 6 months pregnant. The doctor put Jenny on modified bed rest, reducing her hours, increasing monitoring. You need to minimize stress, Dr. Okafor said gently. I know that's easier said than done, but for your baby's sake, you need to take it easy. Juansik, who'd stayed through the entire examination despite Jenny's protests, asked, what does she need? What can we provide to make this easier? Rest, healthy food, someone to help with daily tasks, emotional support. Dr. Okafor looked between them. Is the father in the picture? He died, Jenny said flatly. 3 months ago. I'm sorry. Dr. Okafor's sympathy was genuine. Then you'll need other support. Family, friends, someone who can check on you, help with appointments. I'll take care of it, Juansik said before Jenny could speak. Juansik, you don't have to. I know I don't have to. I want to. His expression left no room for argument. You work for me. That makes your well-being my responsibility. And, he glanced at the doctor, then back to Jenny. And you're important to me, so let me help. Please. Jenny wanted to refuse, wanted to maintain her independence, prove she could handle everything alone like she always had. But her daughter kicked against her ribs, reminding her that this wasn't just about her anymore. Okay, she whispered. Okay, yes, help. Juansik organized everything with terrifying efficiency. He had groceries delivered to her apartment, healthy, pre-portioned meals, arranged for a car service to take her to all appointments, set up her home office so she could work remotely. And somehow, despite his demanding schedule, he started showing up, to check on her, to work alongside her, to make sure she was eating and resting and not stressing. This is weird, Jenny said one afternoon as they sat in her small living room, both working on laptops, rain pattering against the windows. You're my boss. You should be at the office, not babysitting your pregnant employee. I'm not babysitting. I'm working. Just in proximity to you. Juansik didn't look up from his screen. Is it bothering you? I can leave. No. The word came out too quickly. No, it's nice. Having company. He did look up then, and the softness in his eyes made Jenny's breath catch. Good, because I like being here. With you. They fell into a routine. Juansik would arrive around 10 a.m., work from her couch or the small table by the window, break for lunch that he'd bring or order, continue working until evening. Sometimes they'd talk about the projects, about life, about nothing. Sometimes they'd just exist in comfortable silence. And slowly, Jenny felt something she thought died with Jamal. Hope. 3 weeks into this new arrangement, Juansik's mother found out. Jenny was alone, Juansik at a meeting he couldn't reschedule, when someone pounded on her door. She checked the peephole and felt ice flood her veins. Mrs. Jung stood there in another designer suit, rage radiating from every line of her body. Open this door, girl. I know you're in there. Jenny considered ignoring her, but Mrs. Jung's pounding was making the entire building shake. She cracked the door open, keeping the chain on. Mrs. Jung, what do you want? I want you to stay away from my son. The older woman's eyes were chips of ice. I know what you're doing. Worming your way into his life, using your pregnancy to manipulate him. Did you think I wouldn't find out? That I'd just let some pregnant gold digger trap my boy? I'm not. Don't lie to me. He's at your apartment every day. He rearranged his entire schedule around you. My son, who should be running the family empire, is playing house with a black waitress carrying another man's bastard. Mrs. Jung's voice rose to a screech. How much? How much money will it take for you to disappear? Name your price. Jenny felt something crack inside her. All the fear, the grief, The exhaustion crystallized into white-hot fury. She opened the door fully, letting Mrs. Young see her belly, her tear-streaked face, her absolute rage. I'm not for sale. And my daughter isn't a bastard. She's a child who lost her father before she was born. A child I'm fighting every day to give a good life. Your son? He's a good man despite you. He sees people as human beings, not resources to exploit or obstacles to destroy. And the fact that you can't understand why someone would be kind without an ulterior motive, that says everything about you and nothing about me. Mrs. Young's hand shot out and Jenny barely registered the slap before pain exploded across her cheek. She stumbled backward, hand flying to her face, and then everything happened very fast. A car door slammed, running footsteps, Juan Sic's voice, low and deadly. Mother, what the fuck did you just do? He materialized between them, fury rolling off him in waves. Jenny had never seen him like this. Dangerous, barely controlled, every inch his father's son. Sorry, Young actually took a step back. Juan Sic, this woman has a name. Jenny, use it. His voice could have cut steel. And you just assaulted her, in her own home, after I explicitly told you to stay away. Don't be dramatic. I barely touched her. You slapped a pregnant woman. Juan Sic turned to Jenny, his expression transforming from rage to concern. Are you okay? The baby? We're fine. But Jenny was shaking, adrenaline and shock catching up. I'm fine. You're not fine. Juan Sic pulled out his phone. I'm calling your doctor and the police. No, Jenny grabbed his arm. No police, please. It'll just make this worse. She assaulted you, and she's your mother. Juan Sic, please, just make her leave. That's all I want. He looked at her for a long moment, then turned back to his mother. Get out, now. And mother, if you come near Jenny again, if you contact her, if you so much as say her name in my presence, I will personally ensure you have no power left in this city. Do you understand me? You're choosing her over your own family. Mrs. Young's voice was shocked, disbelieving. I'm choosing decency over cruelty, something you should try. Juan Sic pointed toward the stairs. Leave, now. Mrs. Young left, but the look she gave Jenny promised this wasn't over. When the door closed, Juan Sic immediately pulled Jenny into his arms, and she collapsed against him, finally letting herself cry. I'm sorry, he murmured into her hair. I'm so sorry. I should have anticipated this. Should have protected you better. Not your fault. She's intense. She's a monster. Juan Sic pulled back to examine Jenny's face, his jaw tightening at the red mark forming on her cheek. Let me call Dr. Okafor. Make sure everything's okay with the baby. The doctor came personally, apparently Juan Sic had that kind of pull, and confirmed that both Jenny and the baby were fine, though Jenny's blood pressure had spiked. You need to rest and avoid stressful situations. Dr. Okafor looked meaningfully at Juan Sic. Can you ensure that? Yes, she's staying with me. He said it with such finality that neither woman thought to argue. An hour later, Jenny was in Juan Sic's penthouse, the same one she'd seen him pace during late-night work calls. It was beautiful, minimalist, expensive, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Nothing like her cramped studio. I shouldn't be here, Jenny said, standing awkwardly in the massive living room. This is too much. I can go to Keiko's. You're staying here where I can protect you. I have security, resources, space. Juan Sic gestured to the hallway. Guest room is already set up. Private bathroom, everything you need. Jenny, please, let me do this. Why? Why do you care so much? The question burst out raw and desperate. You barely know me. I'm pregnant with someone else's baby. I'm complicated and damaged, and your mother will make your life hell if you keep helping me. So why? Juan Sic crossed the space between them slowly, giving her time to move away if she wanted. She didn't. When he took her hands, his were warm and steady. Because when I look at you, I see strength. Because you make me want to be better than I am. Because you're carrying a child alone and still show up every day with grace and determination. His thumbs brushed across her knuckles. And because I'm falling for you, Jenny, have been since that morning at the cafe when you told me off. When you looked at me like I was a man, not a name or a position or a weapon. Just a person. Juan Sic, I know. I'm not asking you to feel the same. Not asking for anything except to be here, to help, to make sure you and your daughter are safe and cared for. He smiled sadly. Let me be your friend. If that's all you can give me right now, it's enough. Jenny looked into his eyes and saw only sincerity. No demands, no expectations, just a man who genuinely wanted to help. Okay, she whispered. Okay, friend, I'll stay. Living with Juan Sik was surprisingly easy. He worked long hours, leaving her the run of the penthouse. Came home with takeout and asked about her day. Set up a nursery corner in the guest room without being asked. And never, not once, made her feel like charity or an obligation. But Jenny couldn't ignore the growing connection between them. The way her heart raced when he walked into a room. How she found herself waiting for him to come home, eager to tell him about her day. The electricity when their hands accidentally brushed. The way he looked at her sometimes, like she was precious, miraculous, his. You're falling for him, Keiko said during a video call, 3 weeks into Jenny's stay. Girl, you've got it bad. I'm 7 months pregnant with another man's baby. I shouldn't be falling for anyone. Grief doesn't have a timeline. And Jamal, God rest him, would want you to be happy. He wasn't the jealous type. Keiko leaned closer to the camera. Jenny, this man reorganized his entire life around you. He looks at you like you hung the moon, and you light up whenever he's near. Maybe it's time to stop fighting it. What if I'm just confused? What if it's just gratitude or proximity or pregnancy hormones? Then you'll figure it out. But honey, you're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to find love again. Even now. Even like this. That night, Jenny found Juan Sik in his office, working late as usual. She stood in the doorway, watching him, and felt something inside her settle into certainty. Can I come in? He looked up, eyes softening immediately. Always. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, She moved into the room, her belly leading the way. 8 months now, obvious and unavoidable. I want to talk about what you said, about falling for me. Juan Sik went still. Jenny, you don't have to. I think I'm falling for you too. The words tumbled out. I didn't want to. Tried not to. But Juan Sik, you're everything I didn't know I needed. You see me, really see me, not as a victim or a project, but as a person. And when you're gone, the apartment feels empty. When you come home, everything feels right. He stood slowly, moving around the desk. You're sure? You're not just, this isn't gratitude or, I'm sure. Jenny took his hand, placed it on her belly where her daughter was kicking. She likes you too. Gets all active when you're around. Juan Sik's face transformed, wonder and joy and something that looked like awe. She's strong. Like her mother, Jenny said softly. Juan Sik, I know this is complicated. I know your mother will lose her mind. I know I'm pregnant and grieving and probably not ready for this. But I want to try. If you still want me. If I still want you. He cupped her face with his free hand, his other still pressed to her belly. Jenny, you're all I want. You and this baby, this family we could build together. If you'll have me. If you'll let me be part of this. I want you to be part of this. Part of us. Jenny rose on her toes, awkwardly, belly in the way, and kissed him. It was soft, tentative, perfect. Juan Sik kissed her back with devastating gentleness, like she was precious, like they had all the time in the world. When they finally broke apart, both smiling, Jenny's daughter kicked hard between them. I think that's approval, Juan Sik laughed. Definitely approval. Jenny pressed closer. Fair warning, though. Your mother is going to flip. Let her flip. You're mine now. Both of you. And I protect what's mine. Mrs. Jung found out 2 days later, and the fallout was nuclear. She called an emergency family meeting, demanding Juan Sik explain himself. He went, but not before making Jenny promise to stay at the penthouse with security. I'll handle this, he said, kissing her forehead. Trust me. Jenny trusted him, but she still couldn't sleep. Paced the penthouse, imagining the worst. And then at midnight, her phone rang. Unknown number. Jenny Washington? A man's voice, Korean accent. You need to come to the Young family estate. Now. Juan Sik's mother has orchestrated something. He's in trouble. Who is this? What kind of trouble? Family meeting turned hostile. She's using his feelings for you against him, threatening to cut him off from the business, expose certain activities. He won't back down. But if you're there, if she sees you together, she might realize she's already lost. The voice softened. I'm Lee Jun-seo, Juan Sik's cousin. He's a good man trying to fix a broken system. Help him, please. Jenny should have called for verification, should have been cautious. Instead, she ordered a car and headed to the address Yoon Seo provided. The young estate was in the hills, a massive traditional Korean house surrounded by gardens, lit up against the night sky. Security tried to stop her at the gate, but Jenny's determination must have shown through. "I'm here for Young Hwan Sik. Either let me in or tell him I'm here." 2 minutes later, the gates opened. Jenny walked up the stone path, hand pressed to her belly where her daughter was kicking frantically. Through the windows, she could see a large room filled with people, all Korean, all in traditional dress or business suits. And at the center, Hwan Sik, facing his mother. Jenny pushed open the door, and the room fell silent. 30 pairs of eyes turned to her. The pregnant black woman walking into a Korean family meeting uninvited. Mrs. Jung's face twisted with rage. "You, how dare you?" "I dare because Hwan Sik matters to me." Jenny's voice rang clear, stronger than she felt. "And apparently I matter to him. Enough that you're threatening everything he's built just to make him give me up. You're a gold digger, a manipulator, using your pregnancy to trap my son. I'm a woman who got fired because you found my pregnancy offensive, who your son helped because he's a better person than you raised him to be, and who fell in love with him despite every logical reason not to." Jenny moved into the room toward where Hwan Sik stood frozen, staring at her like she'd materialized from his dreams. "You think I'm manipulating him? Lady, I tried to stay away, tried to keep things professional, but he's persistent and kind, and everything I never knew I needed." Mrs. Young stood abruptly. "This is a family meeting. You have no right." "She has every right." Hwan Sik finally moved, crossing to Jenny's side. "Because she's going to be family. Jenny, you shouldn't have come. It's not safe." "I'm safe because I'm with you." Jenny took his hand. "Your cousin called, said you needed backup, so here I am." "Junseo?" Hwan Sik looked around the room, found his cousin near the back, who nodded slightly. "Thank you." Mrs. Jung's laugh was bitter. "This is pathetic. My son, head of the Young Empire, reduced to this, holding hands with a pregnant waitress while the family watches. Your father would be ashamed." "My father would understand." Hwan Sik's voice was steel. "He married you despite his family's objections, fought for the woman he loved. Or did you forget that part of your history?" Something flickered across Mrs. Jung's face. Pain, maybe, or memory. Hwan Sik pressed on. "You've spent decades maintaining power through fear, but it's made you cold, made you forget what matters. I won't make that mistake. I choose Jenny. I choose love. And if that means walking away from the family business, then I walk away." The room erupted, family members shouting in Korean, some supporting, some condemning. Jenny pressed closer to Hwan Sik, overwhelmed by the chaos. Then an elderly man, Hwan Sik's grandfather, stood. The room immediately quieted. He walked slowly toward them, ancient eyes assessing Jenny with sharp intelligence. "You love my grandson?" he asked in heavily accented English. "Yes, sir, I do." "And the baby? My grandson will raise another man's child?" "She's my daughter," Hwan Sik said firmly. "Biology doesn't matter. I'll love her as my own." The grandfather studied them both for a long moment. Then he smiled, a real smile that transformed his severe features. "Good. About time someone in this family chose love over power." He turned to Mrs. Jung. "Cha, you're outvoted. The boy stays head of operations. And this woman," he gestured to Jenny, "is family now. Anyone who disagrees can leave." Mrs. Jung looked stricken. "Father, I watched you suffer in a marriage without love. Watched it make you cruel. I won't let that poison continue." The old man's voice was gentle but firm. "Let the boy be happy. It's what your husband would have wanted." Mrs. Jung sat down abruptly, and Jenny saw something break in her expression. Not acceptance. Not yet. But maybe the beginning of it. Hwan Sik pulled Jenny toward the exit. "We're leaving. Thank you, grandfather. The rest of you, we'll talk tomorrow." In the car, Jenny finally allowed herself to shake. "Oh my God, I just walked into a crime family meeting. What was I thinking?" "You were thinking I needed you." Hwan Sik pulled her close. "And you were right. Jenny, what you did tonight was probably stupid. Was the bravest thing I've ever seen." He kissed her softly. "I love you. I should have said it before. Should have told you every day. I love you, Jenny Washington. You and the daughter you're growing. I want to be part of your family. If you'll have me." "I love you too." Jenny kissed him back. "And yes, we'll have you. Both of us." 3 weeks later, Jenny went into labor. It was early, 37 weeks, and terrifying. Juansik drove her to the hospital with one hand on the wheel, the other holding hers, talking her through contractions with steady calm. You've got this. You're the strongest person I know. Breathe, baby. Just breathe. Easy for you to say. You're not pushing a human out of your... Jenny's words dissolved into another contraction. 14 hours of labor. Juansik stayed through all of it, letting Jenny crush his hand, feeding her ice chips, being exactly what she needed. And when their daughter, because she was theirs now, no question, finally emerged screaming and perfect, Jenny saw tears streaming down Juansik's face. She's beautiful, he whispered. She's perfect. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, the nurse announced. Healthy and strong. What's her name? Jenny looked at Juansik, then at the baby in her arms. They discussed names, but she hadn't decided. Now, looking at this man who'd fought for them, who'd chosen them over everything, she knew. Maya Juan Washington Young, Jenny said. Maya means water for new beginnings. Juan for her father, because biology doesn't determine family. Love does. Juansik's expression crumbled. He bent to kiss Jenny's forehead, then Maya's. Thank you. For her. For us. For everything. The door opened, and to Jenny's shock, Mrs. Jung stood there. She looked smaller somehow, less formidable. In her hands, she held a traditional Korean bojagi, a beautiful wrapping cloth. May I come in? Her voice was quiet, uncertain. Jenny looked at Juansik, who nodded. Yes, come meet your granddaughter. Mrs. Jung approached the bed slowly. Up close, Jenny could see she'd been crying. I came to apologize to both of you. She set the bojagi on the bedside table. This was Juansik's when he was born. His grandmother made it. I want Maya to have it. Mother, Juansik's voice was shocked. Let me finish. Mrs. Jung looked at Jenny directly. I was wrong. About you. About this. About everything. I spent so long protecting my power that I forgot what matters. My husband died because of the stress of our world. My oldest son killed himself because I pushed too hard. And I almost drove my youngest away because I refused to see what was right in front of me. She reached out hesitantly, and Jenny shifted Maya so Mrs. Jung could see her better. She's beautiful, perfect, and if Juansik loves you, if he's willing to build a family with you, then I need to accept that, to welcome you, both of you. It won't be easy, Jenny said honestly. There's a lot of hurt between us. I know, but I'm willing to try, if you'll let me. Mrs. Jung met Jenny's eyes. I'm asking for a chance. To be a grandmother, to be better than I've been. Jenny looked at her daughter, at Juansik, at this woman who'd caused so much pain, but was now asking for redemption. She thought about Maya growing up, about the family she deserved, about how love required risk, required forgiveness, required believing people could change. Okay, Jenny said softly, one chance. But Mrs. Jung, if you ever speak to me or my daughter the way you did that day at the restaurant, you'll never have to see me again. Mrs. Jung's voice was firm. I promise. And please, call me Acha. We're family now. 6 months later, Jenny stood in the newly opened flagship restaurant of their cooperative program. Around her, the space buzzed with energy. Former line cooks now managing their own kitchen, servers who'd never had opportunities suddenly running front of house, immigrant families finding stable employment and community. Mama! Maya's babbling drew her attention. She was in Juansik's arms, tiny hands patting his face with delight. He made exaggerated faces that made her giggle, completely oblivious to the fact that he was supposed to be giving a speech in 10 minutes. You're going to spoil her, Jenny said, approaching them. That's my job. Juansik kissed Maya's cheek, then Jenny's. Besides, she's perfect. How can I not spoil perfection? Across the room, Acha was chatting with staff, asking questions, actually listening to their answers. She'd been true to her word, showing up, trying, slowly building relationships instead of commanding them. It wasn't perfect. There were still tensions, moments where her old attitude surfaced, but she was trying, and that meant everything. Speech time, Yunja called out. Boss, you're up. Juansik handed Maya to Jenny, then took her free hand. We're doing this together. They stood before the assembled crowd, staff, investors, community members, family. Juansik spoke about the program's vision, about creating opportunities, about building something that helped instead of exploited. But midway through, he paused. When I took over my family's business, I wanted to change our legacy. Move from taking to giving, from destruction to creation. But I couldn't have done any of this without the woman beside me. He turned to Jenny. A year ago, you were fired from one of our restaurants because someone in my family decided your existence was offensive. Today, you're standing here as VP of Operations, having built a program that's changed hundreds of lives. And you've changed mine more than I can express. He dropped to one knee and Jenny's breath caught. She hadn't expected this. Not here, not now. But Juan Sick was pulling out a ring. Simple, elegant, perfect. Jenny Washington, you've given me everything. A family, a purpose, a reason to be better than I was. Will you marry me? Will you make this official? Let me be Maya's father and your husband for the rest of our lives? Maya chose that moment to reach for the ring, babbling, "Da-da!" And the room erupted in laughter and awes. Jenny looked at this man who'd fought for her, who'd chosen her when it cost him everything, who loved her daughter like his own. "Yes," she said through tears. "Yes, you ridiculous, wonderful man. Yes." He slipped the ring on her finger, then stood and kissed her, while their daughter giggled between them and the crowd cheered. When they broke apart, Jenny saw Cha crying in the corner, not with anger or disappointment, but with what looked like joy. Later, as the party continued around them, Jenny and Juan Seek slipped outside to the restaurant's patio. The city stretched below them, lights twinkling like earthbound stars. "You know what's funny?" Jenny said, Maya asleep in her arms. "A year ago, I thought my life was over. Jamal was gone, I was pregnant and alone, and then your mother got me fired. I had nothing. And now? Now I have everything." She looked at him. "A daughter who's healthy and perfect, a job I love, a family that's messy but trying, and a man who sees me, really sees me, and loves what he sees. I do love you, more than I thought possible." Juan Seek wrapped his arms around them both. "You and Maya, you're my whole world. Even though she's not biologically yours, she's mine in every way that matters." He kissed Maya's sleeping head. "Biology is just genetics, but love is choice, and I choose both of you, every single day." Jenny leaned against him, feeling the solid warmth of his chest, the steady beat of his heart. "Your mother really has changed, hasn't she?" "She's trying. That's all I can ask." Juansik sighed. "I think losing control of me made her realize she was losing everything. That power without love is just isolation." "Think she'll be a good grandmother?" "I think she'll spoil Maya rotten and drive us crazy and occasionally revert to her old ways. But she'll love her in her own complicated way." He smiled. "Kind of like how I love you. Complicated, messy, but absolutely real. We're quite the pair. Crime boss and pregnant waitress. Your mother was right to be worried. Former crime boss, we're 90% legitimate now." Juansik's grin was wicked. "That other 10% is for emergencies. You're terrible, but you love me anyway." "Unfortunately, yes." Jenny kissed him softly. "I really, really do." 2 years later, Jenny stood in the same restaurant for Maya's second birthday party. The space was decorated with balloons and streamers, filled with the extended young family, the restaurant staff, friends from both their worlds. Maya toddled around in a hanbok that Cha had commissioned, giggling as various relatives tried to catch her for photos. "She's fast," Keiko laughed, watching Maya evade another aunt. "That kid is going to be trouble." "She already is." Jenny rubbed her belly, 6 months pregnant with their second child, a boy this time, who would have Juan Seek's blood and both their names. "This one better be calmer? With you two as parents? Not a chance." Keiko hugged her. "I'm so happy for you, Jen. You deserve all of this. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for something to go wrong. Nothing's going to go wrong. You've got Juan Seek, you've got family, you've built something real here." Keiko gestured around the restaurant. "This is your happily ever after, babe. Accept it." Maybe it was. Jenny watched Juan Seek playing with Maya, both of them laughing, and felt something settle in her chest. Peace, happiness, the certainty that they'd built something that would last. Cha approached with a wrapped gift. "For Maya, and for you, Jenny, as an apology. Still, Cha, you don't have to keep apologizing." "I do, until you truly believe I've changed." The older woman's smile was sad. "I said terrible things, did terrible things. The fact that you've forgiven me, let me into Maya's life. I don't take that for granted. You've earned it. You show up. You tree. That's all anyone can do. Jenny touched Acha's arm. We're good, really. Acha's eyes filled with tears. Thank you for giving an old woman another chance, for loving my son enough to see past his family's darkness. He makes it easy. Jenny watched Juan Sik lift Maya onto his shoulders, spinning her until she shrieked with joy. He's everything I didn't know I needed, everything I didn't think I deserved after losing Jamal. Jamal would approve, I think, of Juan Sik, of this life you've built. I hope so. Jenny smiled through sudden tears. I hope he sees Maya, sees how happy we are, and knows his daughter is loved. So, so loved. Juan Sik appeared then, Maya on his shoulders, reaching for Jenny. Mammal Mama up. I can't, baby girl. Your brother is taking up all the space. Jenny patted her belly. But how about cake instead? As they gathered for cake, the whole chaotic family singing off-key, Jenny caught Juan Sik's eye across the table. He mouthed, I love you, and she mouthed it back. Around them, their chosen family celebrated. Korean and black, legitimate and reformed criminal, biological and chosen. And Jenny thought about that Christmas Eve when Devin had left her alone in a restaurant, about the humiliation and heartbreak that had felt like the end of her world. She'd been wrong. It hadn't been an ending at all. Just the painful beginning of something infinitely better. Make a wish, baby, Juan Sik said to Maya as they lit her candles. But Jenny had already wished. For more days like this, more love like this, more proof that sometimes the worst moments in your life are just clearing space for the best ones. She'd been rejected, mocked, humiliated, and in the end, she'd found everything. Maya blew out her candles with enthusiastic, spit-filled vigor, and the room erupted in applause. Juan Sik pulled Jenny close, his hand on her belly where their son kicked, and whispered in her ear, Happy birthday to our daughter, and happy beginning to us. Happy beginning, Jenny echoed, to all of us.